Hey guys, I'm Trevor.
I'm Vincent.
We are the Anthony and Todd Show. Today we're going to be taking a look at Trippie Redd's latest project, Life's a Trip. Trippie Redd is an Ohio rapper and singer, most well known for working closely with artists like XXXTentacion, rest in peace, Lil Yachty, rest in peace, and Rich Brian, still thriving. He's also on the XXL 2018 freshman list, and he released 2 mixtapes before his debut album, Life's a Trip. Trippie Redd falls into like this emo rap kind of feel, like a lot of X's previous work.
Yeah, like X, Lil Peep, like Lil Uzi Vert's in there, like Princess Nokia, Young Lean, like all those. And the problem with emo rap, the genre of emo rap, is that it is just essentially all the bad parts of trap and all the bad parts of hip hop kind of glorified into one. You get really crappy lyricism, really over emotional performances, very
edgy,
very almost flat emotionally, but also way too much emotion. So it's like both sides. Like they have a really flat approach to viewing their feelings, but also they're they're being too over exploratory about them, if that makes sense.
I think the definitive emo rap, of course, is Uzi Vert's XO Tour Life. I think that's a pretty like definitive song if you're gonna look into it. Also, anything that X has released, I think, pretty much sums it up.
Yeah.
Also, the Linkin Park song done with Jay-Z, I think, was the birth of emo rap.
So basically, emo rap, its track record with albums has been terrible. There has been some few highlights here and there, like last year with X's Jacqueline Flowers track with Patsu, that he took the production from, Lil Uzi Vert's XO Tour Life, which is a much more popular approach, but the albums have been god awful because they've been just the same idea replicated over and over again, and just these shitty performances and terrible lyricism, ranging from like the styles of like more punk heavy like Lil Peep to more like grunge heavy like XXXTentacion. So I was excited to see where Trippie Redd was gonna fall into this. My experiences in the past have been like his feature on Maxo Cream's Capiche, which I thought he had good vocal work, but his flows were terrible. I thought his verse was just awful and it ruined the momentum of the track. His work with Drum last year on the track Il Nana, I found Drum to be fun, and I just found Trippie Redd to just be like there. He exists.
Trippie Redd's features haven't really featured Trippie Redd at his best, or really at all.
Yeah.
He worked with Lil Pump too.
Yeah. I was interested going into this, like what it would be. Saw the album art, gave me nightmares, made me cry. So maybe it actually is the truest extension of emo rap. But I put this on the schedule. I found the album release date. I put this on the schedule and like, okay, if nothing else comes out, we'll review it. And then Trevor forced me by my hand to review this record. He was like, we are reviewing this. I couldn't tell if he was actually excited or it was a joke, but we're reviewing it.
It was a joke.
And I'm actually kind of glad that Trevor actually made me review this, because this is the best emo rap. Emo rap as best emo rap album that just remains in the genre and doesn't like escape. So like, removing the influences of like Drake and Cudi, they don't count, or even some modern day artists that are kind of in the scene, but they on certain projects, but not fully on others, like Princess Nokia and like Princess Nokia and others. I think this is the best true emo rap album that meets all the qualifications. Every track is an emo rap track, and it is consistent. It is at least less cringier than some others. The lyricism on this is still really edgy, and it is really cheesy. It is super flat. It talks about killing. Trippie Redd talks about killing himself near constantly on this record, to the point where I just find it to be super annoying. But I think the lyricism doesn't really matter on this record compared to other records, because I think Trippie Redd with his vocals and even his his rhymes on this record, his flow, I find to be really impressive comparative to a lot of the other works I've heard from before. It's like I'm listening to a different artist. I don't think Trippie Redd is the most unique artist. Hardly find him to be unique because I see so many other artists in him. I see artists like Kyle, artists like Playboi Carti and Lil Uzi Vert, artists like Post Malone also, all kind of like blend together in him to make a consistent project that remains in the emo rap genre and takes essentially what outsiders enjoy so much about it, like draws them in. So like the harsh vocal performances, the catchiness, the pure aesthetic of feeling, and combining that with like trap, basic hip hop production, and sometimes some very nice keys and vocal piano loops I find to be really emotional and cheer jerking. But I think it's a good collaboration of everything, and it manages to be consistent. There are some off moments. Don't get me wrong. There are a good amount.
Aren't there always though?
There are like a lot of these hip hop albums we've been reviewing by artists such as Trippie Redd or in the scene, or like Trippie Redd, have either a lot or at least a few off moments. And at least with Trippie Redd's, I find some enjoyment in his off moments. I find moments where he is essentially doing X better than X, like at the closer of this album, actually better than what X did. I think it's way more, it's not lyrically that different, but it's way more vocally normal, insane. It goes on for way too long, and it isn't one of the better moments in comparison. It is relatively weak, but it actually manages to make that sound decent. Like he takes that sound that X left with his legacy and continues it. Like that's something I really enjoy about this record is Trippie Redd and X have this like weird relationship. For a while they had like huge beef, and then they apologized before X's untimely death. But
and then
I think
Trippie dyed his hair white.
I think Trippie does a good job of actually making that legacy kind of worth something, which I've talked about this before. I don't think X was the greatest guy ever. I didn't care for his music, but I don't think anyone should go out that way. And I think it was a really shame what happened to him. But I'm kind of glad Trippie made this album, even though he wasn't the hugest friend of X. I'm glad someone's kind of taking that style and the ideas that people liked about him that I don't think they really should have because they weren't fully fledged. But I'm glad that we are now seeing someone kind of more fully commit to him. This album's not gonna move mountains, but it kind of is moving mountains in the genre, which is cool.
Yeah, I don't think Trippie Redd will ever come out of this like, I mean, like, you see, like, the grunge movement, and the grunge movement didn't move mountains, I don't believe, but you see bands like Nirvana being hailed as, like, some of the greatest bands of all time. You still see t-shirts, you still see belt buckles, whatever. Trippie Redd will never have belt buckles or t-shirts or whatever, unless he sells them himself, I guess. But, in his own genre, I think Trippie is really pushing the boundary and making some of these ideas that a lot of people toyed with for a long time into full-fledged tracks. I think X kind of toyed around with some of these things, but like they weren't fully realized. They were too moany, they were too this, too that,
and too annoying.
Too annoying.
And he was so pretentious too. Don't forget that. Never forget the intro of 17. Never forget it. It remains my conscience and it will never escape. I've never seen anyone be more pretentious in their life. I think he and Father John Misty should have had a pretentious off just to see who's finally the more pretentious. But
it's Father John Misty.
Well, it is now.
Never forget, pure comedy is a 2. But
it's a solid 9.5.
But Trippie, I think, is continuing on these ideas in a way that's like not just honoring the legacy of X, but honoring the emo rap genre as a whole. One of the greats of the genre dies.
He will go down as one of the greats.
Yeah, somebody has to take those reins, or the genre will effectively die. Yeah. And nobody else was picking up the slack. So I think it was probably good that Trippie is doing this. I went into this and I thought it would be like another trap kind of album, but it actually really surprised me coming into these first couple of tracks, like just how vocal heavy this was, how melodic this whole project was. You look at somebody like a contemporary like Lil Pump, and that whole album is not melodic at all. It's all cadence. It's all just trap music. But Trippie takes his own route like that a lot of XXL freshmen don't typically take. You know, most of these artists are trap artists or, trap artists or post-trap artists, and this is just a completely left field pick. When I first saw him on the list, I was like, there's trap. I saw the album cover, I was like, this is just gonna be some rip-off Migos. But I went into this, and it was, like, actually really surprising exactly, like, what this was.
It's just, I found this to be, like, Trippie was somehow, like, in the right place at the right time, because, like, who else was gonna take over the style, just going back into it? It's just, like, Ski Mask? No. Ski Mask is pure trap. He's pure excitement. Like, a lot of the artists that were close to X, besides Trippie, didn't make music like him, I guess. So, like, he was a good one to carry it on. And starting everything off with Together, you get his emotional rap speed vocals, and you get that from the start. You get it over, you get the Lil Uzi Vert style melodic vocals.
Yeah.
And it's a little long. Lyrics are super bad. This is, like, from the start, like, I knew I was either gonna love this or hate it. I think this track has grown on me over time because I'm able to kind of cut out the cheesy, very edgy lines about killing himself.
Well, that's just kind of what you're gonna get with the genre. It's going to be cheesy. I don't think there's a way to deliver emo music without being, like, super cheesy.
Well, there is so, like, in actual emo music, not emo rap. There's artists and there's bands more like it, like Modern Baseball and Remo Drive, who are on, like, the edge. They're, like, in between being emo and not emo, in my opinion. Like, they tell more stories centering around that, whereas, like, artists like Neck Deep are just trash. They just, like, they are what emo rap is. They're the emo rap equivalent of emo music, if that makes sense. They're the X of emo music. Just pure feeling and nothing more. Super pretentious and, like, flat. Whereas there isn't anything like that in emo rap yet, and Trippie's not providing that on this, but I don't think there ever will be, because if there was, it would just be considered hip hop.
Yeah.
So, like, it's the weird genre thing we have going on, that this may actually be the best that this thing has to offer, unless more of these tracks get more consistent and trimmed down and cut. But I think if you lose the emotion and the constant need of, like, suicide, the constant mention of suicide and hurting yourself and causing damage to other people,
and lose some of that cheese factor.
Losing that cheese, it wouldn't make it emo rap. It would make it hip hop. So, like, I that's just an interesting point I wanted to point up. Bird up. But yeah. After that, you got Taking a Walk, which I found to be too edgy, like a lot of these tracks, but I found the edge to be contrasted by the very, very bright performance and lively organs that managed to make the lyricism work. You can work it. Did you like that?
What was that?
That was fucking that what's her name?
Was that Missy Elliott?
Yeah.
That was horrible.
Yeah, I'm not Missy Elliott. All I do is listen to emo rap. It's only 2 minutes long.
Doesn't overstay its welcome.
It's there. Followed by Wish, the Trippie mix featuring Diplo. I don't know why, like, this is the second album in, like, the past month that Diplo has had, like, a production feature on, and I actually enjoyed it. So, like, something's up. Like, the world's gonna end soon.
This reminds me of a Shaggy track.
It does. It's just like that island feel, I guess, that he always provides. Yep. The like, what is it? Dance hall vibe that he rips off.
Yeah.
Reminds me of, like, his vocals on that track remind me a lot of Post Malone's vocals. Like, when he goes for that really harsh kind of rhythm, I guess.
When he gets harsh, his vocals sound like Donald Glover. A lot, like really raspy.
Yeah,
that's what it reminds me of.
So, like, he has these, like, harsh, tense performance. The beat Diplo provides is Kingdom Heart-esque, in my opinion. It's, like, sunny, islandy, but the keys over, like, a simple drum give me the feel like the first level of Kingdom Hearts, or
Yeah.
like the first like world you encounter with like being on the island. I just find that it just brings that type of energy to my head. Enjoy the basic drum production and how it doesn't dominate the track. There isn't any steel drum or any of these other like dance hall cliches that Diplo normally throws in. So going on to later with Forever Ever with Young Thug and Reese LaFleur. I love Young Thug's saturated autotune vocals. This is one of the best. Young Thug delivers another good performance for a while. I think from the last couple of projects I've heard him on, he's delivered some really good performances, at least vocally. I find him to be really credible. I think this track doesn't show off Trippie as lively because he isn't on the hook, he isn't doing vocals, but he still is kind of doing his own thing.
This is a Young Thug track.
It's more of the Young Thug. And then Reese LaFleur is what happens when you smush Rich Homie Quad and Kid Cudi into one person, and he was completely unneeded.
Yes.
It's just like how Kid Cudi makes trap music. It's just like, no, stop, go away. Worst track, Bang. Is too much screaming. I think I went deaf because he like ate the mic. He put the mic, his mouth over the mic, and then screamed on it. The background guitar and strings are moody. The kicks are awful and bland with some distortion. The end references, the end like skit with a shooting, I find to be incredibly in poor taste nowadays. With so many things happening like that nowadays. Like there's like making reference to suicide. It's not good. Especially as someone who deals with mental health issues, I don't think it's good, but I'll let it slide. But like, this is not a time to be doing this shit.
Yeah.
Like, if you like maybe talk about shooting someone, I would let it slide. But having a skit where you're doing a shooting, I just find to be incredibly poor taste. How You Feel is a good moment to counteract the terrible moment of like forced hooks on Bang. But How You Feel reminds me of a lot of the bareface moments in Brockhampton's work. Just very simple guitar, and it's like a 90s kind of alt rock track. It brings a little bit of grunge, a little bit of flair, very passionate vocals, and it's just a nice mesh of everything. Provides that like almost 90s boy band vibe too.
This is probably my favorite track on here. The sample is Eddie Money's Baby Hold On, which like recognized immediately, but Trippie is just like taking more of his like rock background, which like a lot of rappers you see like don't have. If you ask any young rapper, you know, who are your influence, they're gonna say like, oh, you know, Future, Lil Wayne. Like I listened to all of them when I was a kid. Trippie was like listening to Nirvana and Kiss and T-Pain and Gucci. Like he had all sorts of influences, and I think his rock influence takes over here on this track, and I really appreciate that because he's doing something different that like not a lot of rappers have a lot of experience doing.
Yeah. The track Dark Knight Dumbo is fine, but it's not. It clashes with everything else. It's too normal. It's not emo. Like this is the only track that doesn't really feel like emo rap compared to everything else. I think Travis is better than Trippie, but and it's one of his better performances recently as well. Better than a majority of the stuff on Astro World. But I think it's just too normal, and I think on this track especially it sounds too much like Uzi Vert.
Yeah.
So but it's immediately followed by Uka Uka, which is I think a reference to Crash Bandicoot character.
That's a bad mask.
Yeah. It's a weird mess of synths over like very simplistic drums, and he like raps in the style of like Kyle.
Crash Bandicoot.
And it's just a nice like follow through that is a little bit more simplistic, but manages to keep that emo edge, or that emo atmosphere, and consistency throughout the entire record. Followed by just some like moments I find to be okay. Shake It Up I find to just be like a stupid under 2 minute.
It's pretty generic.
It's really goofy. It's about his experiences with girls performing for him, or essentially stripping.
He says shake it like a pumpkin pie. It made me very uncomfortable because pumpkin pies don't shake.
It's stupid, but it's livable. I'd rather have this than a Dark Knight demo, in my opinion.
I'm also glad that it's short too.
Yeah, it's like 2 minutes, whereas Dark Knight demo, it's not really anything. I guess.
Yeah.
Whereas this, I actually enjoyed how stupid it was, I guess, and poking fun at it. Still clashes with a lot of the other atmospheric qualities of the album and consistency, but I found it to be livable. Revenge has a really soulful sample, but the hi-hats on it are super fucking irritating. His lyricism does not match the beat, and it's just like he talks about every day I keep it real and get that bag, ho, cause that shit up for grabs, ho. Put that on my tab, ho. Jimmy Neutron, I told that bitch to have a blast, ho.
That's
yes,
the best
I'm
line.
asshole, bitch. Why you mad for? It's just like he says it better than me monotonally reading it, but it's just like very doesn't fit. Like this isn't like an rap type beat, like a introspective track that I can see like Quelly Chris being over, not like Trippie Redd. It's just. And like,
He's trying. I liked the track because I just thought it was stupid.
I think it's not it's not bad, but I just don't think. Well, the hi hats are bad, but it's not terrible.
Yeah.
Like I just think I would have liked to see some more vocals on it than we were given, and also I think it's one of the longer tracks, and it just doesn't feel like it has a purpose in the retrospective to everything else. I like the track Gore towards the end. It's about his like desire for fame and how he's willing to do anything for it, even like destroy people.
Wow.
But I found that to be like one of the more fitting uses of kind of like his emo rap persona, where like, okay, this is like you actually have the emotion of like lust and anger, and you're trying to achieve something, and you're like screaming passionately. Sad. So like I just found that to be a really cool moment on the closer, and followed by Underwater Fly Zone, which is probably one of the worst tracks on here, but I don't think it's that terrible.
It's not even bad. I think it just goes on
too long,
way too long, and like right when I think it's gonna be over, I hear I'm trying to keep my composure.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh,
comparing again,
let's finish this.
Again, comparing it to any X's moments like this, he does it way better. He has a way more solid performance, in my opinion. Still lyrically cringy, but way more vocally interesting, way more productionally interesting. But the only moment I truly hate on this is Bang. I think that's just like, it's stupid, it's annoying, it's offensive with its skit at the end. It's just the worst moment on here. But everything past that I think is livable to good. Yeah. And that's like more than I could say for like all the emo rap albums I've listened to, from Lil Peep's stuff to X's stuff to Princess Nokia's recent tape to Lil Uzi Vert's what was it last year, something 2, Love is Rage 2, and Young Lean's material. I find it to be way more livable. It is probably the best emo rap album I've listened to ever. Just emo rap as just the genre, not anything that may be emotional or may be experimental or maybe something else. This is just putting emo rap as the genre on hold. I think he consistently has better vocal performances than a lot of people in this field. He's way more notably, I don't know, like less cringy, still cringy, but less than a lot of other people. I think he's way more willing to actually try and release fuller material. I think just a lot more. I just think he's doing a lot more than artists in this field are willing to do. And every time I hear an emo rap album, it seems like a half-assed attempt at just making a record. So like they don't have anything to talk about. So what do? They just become sad because they know that can make money. Because for 13-year-olds who are in their fields and need someone to listen to. So I just think it's a cash grab a lot of the time, and this doesn't feel like a cash grab. No. It just feels like Trippie Redd kind of took a sound that X was doing and actually made it listenable.
He took up those reins, I think, and continued to do what he was best at, and fully fledged his ideas, which like automatically makes it better than a lot of the other efforts from these rappers coming out. Like Playboi Carti, I think, had like a lot of unrealized potential and just decided to make like a super long album for Die Lit, which like I enjoyed Die Lit, but some of those ideas I don't think were fully fledged. Yeah. And you see that a lot of the times with these younger rappers. You look at like Designers, New English, not even an album.
Yeah.
Hardly. It had like 2 full songs on it, and that's it. But this, every song on here, I think, could stand on its own. And Trippie like puts a lot of thought and the time and the effort to fully fledge these ideas and make them, full.
At least musically.
Yeah.
Like, no, we're not saying
Lyrically, I don't think this treads any sort of new ground. But
again, going back to the point, if it did, it would not be emo rap.
yeah, it wouldn't fall in the genre. But he, I think, is paving the way for emo rap in the way that Lil Pump perfected trap. I think
we say we did a whole entire video on this. It's called Little Pump, the Little Pump conundrum. If you want to figure that out,
Tentation or something.
yeah. But like,
yeah, I think Trippie Redd is perfecting emo rap and is continuing to work on that and giving kind of a pace car for people to follow.
it's more mastering it.
Yeah.
I would say. I don't know if it's perfected. I think there's still
It's
at
not,
least with the sounds he
but
presents on
it's
this. I think
getting
there
there.
actually is a lot more room, which is nice.
It's getting there for sure, which I really appreciate.
Yeah. But yeah, I think I'm gonna give this like a best emo rap album I've listened to ever out of 10.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you want to hear us talk more about music, we have plenty reviews on our YouTube channel too. Will pop up at the end of the video past the little film scroll thingy that we do every week. But until next time, guys, I've been Vincent.
I'm Trevor.
And see ya,
Bye,
boyos.
guys.